All right, everyone, welcome back. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but if you're just now joining us, the gist is Tennessee is heading to Columbus December 21st to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I think maybe the bigger news as far as just the overall picture of the SEC is concerned is that Alabama is not playing for a national championship for the first time since maybe before you were born. A long time.
Yeah, and the biggest news is SMU is over the Crimson Tide. They get that final spot. And, you know, it's a little bit up in the air because considering strength of schedule, are we looking at wins and losses? It's just so all over the place with the committee, in my opinion. You know, Alabama ends its season 9-3, had 3 bad losses, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and its worst one, I'd say, of the whole season, Oklahoma, really just getting embarrassed in that game. And then you look at SMU, you know, 11-2 on the season. I don't know. It's so up in the air because obviously the SEC is the toughest conference in America, and you know Alabama did play some tough teams this season. They've got a good win over Georgia, but when you look at the losses, I think it does make sense that they're not in it because SMU, you know, overall has the better record. And if you look at the two teams in comparison, I think the committee made the right decision.
Yeah, totally. And I think, again, everyone needs to like take a deep breath and understand that this is still the first year. So the committee's learning, we're learning. You know, I think maybe how they look at strength of schedule, maybe these out of conference games that Nick Saban referenced when asked about Alabama not making it. I think maybe that might be taken into a little bit more of a consideration next year. And I think this year it was maybe just more conference based. And I think next year we might see a little bit different. But right before we had some issues, we were talking about Tennessee's path to a national championship. Obviously, they would have to go on the road at Ohio State, which famously is not an easy place to play. And then after that, they would have to play #1 Oregon, who hasn't lost a game all year. But when you talk about the college football playoffs, Josh Heupel had a great soundbite last week talking about anywhere, anytime, it doesn't matter. Let's take a look at that.
Listen, we control what we control. Right? We don't have a game before the final rankings come out. There's a lot of football to be played yet. But if you're not of the mindset going into this thing, anyone, anywhere, anytime, then you're just there to have a cup of coffee anyway. So this is a highly competitive group. We'll play where we play. We'll play who we play. And let's go put the ball down.
Let's go put the ball down and have a cup of coffee, says Josh Heupel. And I think that's been their mentality all season. I mean, I think they know that they play in such a competitive conference. They play the hardest teams in the country. And I think that they're of the mindset that, you know, whatever happens, happens. Whoever they play, it doesn't matter. They're going to go into every game the same way. And you can say that with a lot of the other teams, but there is a clear difference between who a team like Tennessee plays if they want to compete for a national championship and who a team maybe like Penn State plays if they also want that path as well. But also I wanted to point out just strength of schedule again and wins and losses. Another big conversation was if Tennessee was potentially going to be ranked above Texas and Penn State if they didn't win the conference championship game. And if you look at Texas and Tennessee's wins and losses, Texas's best game of the season, their best win, quality win of the season was against Texas A&M. They're not even a ranked team anymore. And if you look at Tennessee, obviously their best win was against Alabama. So same schedule, you know, same wins and losses. They both have 2 losses on the season. It is a little bit up in the air. And I think that the main factor is it's probably just Texas has been ranked in the top 10 all year long, and I think it would be hard to drop them from 3 all the way down to where, you know, Tennessee was at 7. So I think that's a big contributor, and, you know, I don't know. Texas has just been like a team that people have been talking about all year. First year in the SEC, almost becoming SEC champions for the first time in the conference. I think there's a lot of hype around them, and I just don't think I could have seen the committee dropping them under Tennessee.
Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit. So obviously it's the first 12-team college football playoffs. So if you're a college football fan, I mean, this is what dreams are made of, baby. We're about to see matchups that we have not seen maybe in the history of college football and just a long time in general. And speaking of Ohio State, Tennessee, the last time they played, 1996, 28 years ago in the Florida Citrus Bowl. And if you remember, the star running back for the Buckeyes Heisman winner Eddie George, famously a former Tennessee Titan. And who was Tennessee's quarterback? He wore number 16. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of him, but his name was Peyton Manning.
Heck yeah.
So Tennessee did win 20-14. So if you're a college football fan, even though you may be sad that the Vols aren't playing a home game, you're going to see a game that we have not seen in 28 years.
Yes.
That's something that should get you out of the bed in the morning, that should get you excited. And that's, I think, the Vols mindset is who cares who we play. It should be anytime, anywhere. And if you're a Vols fan and you watch that Josh Heupel soundbite, that should make you want to run through a brick wall, right? Like
absolutely.
That, even watching, I'm like, oh, I'm fired up.
Yeah.
But so I know I talked a little bit last week about logistics as far as tickets are concerned. The university did go ahead and send out emails to students about student tickets and to season ticket holders and donors. So in a regular SEC road game, Tennessee usually gets 5,000 tickets. For this game on December 21st, they will only get 3,500. So you're talking just a little bit more than half of what they would normally get, which is kind of crazy. So the university, again, already sent emails. So if you are a season ticket holder or a donor or a student, make sure you go ahead and put those requests in. The university did say as far as like Tennessee tickets that they will get, they will probably only have 1,000, which is crazy.
Wow.
The shoe seats over 100,000 people.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about that many people, you're going to see a little speck of orange in the tippity top, I think.
As I said last week, a good thing orange is a bright color because it'll certainly pop in the stadium as well. And I think, 5.5 hour drive to
Not too
Columbus,
bad.
not too bad. It's definitely not as bad as, State College. We're looking at a maybe 9+ hour drive if we were headed there. But luckily, Vols have a bit of a shorter trip. Maybe, hopefully, Vol fans will be able to, pay the money, and that's another thing. These tickets will be certainly expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the biggest thing for Tennessee is this season and the last couple of seasons, they've had issues on the road, and I think that will probably be the biggest factor heading into Saturday's game is how Tennessee can handle this environment. They're not in a neutral site. It's going to be a lot of Ohio State fans, obviously, like we just said with the tickets. I think that will be the biggest factor. But something that is on Tennessee's side, whenever they played Vandy, we had a lot of injuries. I mean, Dylan Sampson went down. He did, of course, come back into the game, but Dante Thornton got hurt.
Brew McCoy didn't play.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 3 star players that have contributed a lot on offense.
Absolutely.
So at least the Vols will have a couple weeks off. Now, if that hurts them or helps them, who knows? Because when you look at Tennessee's schedule this year, they lose at Arkansas after a bye. And they had issues after their second bye, too. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. It's a really good thing that Tennessee played Vanderbilt in such cold weather, obviously, also because their starting quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, is from California. So I think it's a good thing. Exactly. I think that might have been his first road game or even game playing at the collegiate level that he was probably that cold. And, they handled it well. He was prepared for that. And I think going to Columbus, where it is going to be chilly and we could potentially see maybe some snow. I think that was really important for Nico to be able to, have that experience. And I think Columbus is also going to be a hectic environment. It's, a huge Big Ten school with a huge fan base, very similar to Tennessee's fan base. So
passionate, crazy.
Exactly.
All the adjectives.
So, I mean, it's good. It's going to be a good matchup, and I think Tennessee fans are excited for it. I just think the path to success and the path to a national championship is certainly not going to be an easy one.
And when you talk about the weather, I mean, one of the good things about Knoxville, like, people are like, oh my God, they're going to Ohio State. It's so cold. Hey guys, it was snowing last week. Did anybody catch that?
So cold.
So the good news is for the Vols, I bet Josh Heupel is going to put them outside practicing for the next 2 weeks.
Sorry guys.
They're going to be pumping in all the crowd noise. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they will be prepared. I love the mindset that they're coming into. Hopefully we'll hear from the team sometime this week so you can just get a better idea of how they feel about the bracket, how they feel about being on the road and not being at home. I know all Tennessee fans wanted that. But
Josh Heupel also speaks later this afternoon on the teleconference, so we'll have that later for our 6 p.m. shows on the news. But excited to see what actually goes down, and we're just excited to know the path officially, so we can do some planning ourselves.
Totally.
So we can figure out how we're getting there and everything. So we're definitely excited. And Tennessee, we finally find out, and their path to a national championship is the first time in a 12-team college football playoff. So very exciting, and Tennessee fans should be excited as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll, of course, have more on WBAR tonight at 6:10 10 and 11, just on what this kind of looks like. And we will be going to Columbus, of course, so just keep up with us on online, on TV, on the app, all the things. We'll have all the Vols coverage for the next 2 weeks, probably more than maybe you even want.
We're going to be talking about it. Sorry,
love it.
you can't keep our mouths shut on this topic, I'll tell you that.
Well, thanks, guys, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.